I never thought I'd be in this situation, but here I am. My name is Norman, 32M, and I've been married to Pamela, 30F, for 5 years. We met at a local coffee shop near campus. We spent hours that day discussing supply and demand curves, and by the end of it, I was infatuated. Our relationship blossomed quickly. We had similar interests, we both loved indie rock bands, enjoyed hiking on weekends, and shared a passion for trying out new restaurants in town. Pamela was brilliant, ambitious, and had a wicked sense of humor that always kept me on my toes. I fell hard and fast. After graduation, we both landed entry-level jobs in our respective fields. I started working at a marketing firm, while Pamela got a position at a small tech startup. We were young, in love, and excited about our future together. We got married 2 years after college, in a small ceremony surrounded by our closest friends and family. The first few years of our marriage were wonderful. We supported each other's careers, traveled when we could, and talked about our dreams for the future. We even started saving up to buy a house, imagining a life with a backyard for barbecues and maybe even kids someday. About 2 years ago, Pamela got a new job at a prestigious firm. It was a big step up from her previous position, and I was thrilled for her. The job came with longer hours and more responsibilities, but we both agreed it was worth it for her career growth. I still remember how excited she was when she got the offer. Her eyes were shining, and she couldn't stop smiling. We celebrated that night with champagne and takeout from our favorite Thai restaurant. At first, things were okay. We adjusted our schedules, and I took on more household responsibilities to support her. I didn't mind doing extra laundry or cooking most nights if it meant Pamela could pursue her dreams. We had always been a team, and I saw this as my way of contributing to our shared success. However, as time went on, I noticed Pamela becoming more distant. She started coming home later and later, often missing dinner or arriving after I'd gone to bed. When I tried to talk to her about it, she'd brush it off, saying it was just a busy period at work and things would settle down soon. I wanted to believe her, but a nagging feeling in my gut told me something wasn't right. The Pamela I knew loved to unwind after a long day by watching our favorite TV shows together or taking a walk around the neighborhood. But now, she seemed to barely have time for a quick hello before burying herself in work emails or heading to bed early. Our weekends, which used to be filled with hikes, lazy brunches, and catching up with friends, became consumed by Pamela's work. She'd spend hours on her laptop, citing urgent projects or looming deadlines. I tried to be understanding, remembering how hard she had worked for this opportunity, but I couldn't shake the feeling that we were drifting apart. Then came the business trips. Pamela began traveling frequently, sometimes for a week or more at a time. At first, I looked forward to her return, hoping we could reconnect. But even when she was home, she was always on her phone or laptop, barely engaging in conversation. I felt like I was living with a stranger. I tried to talk to her about it several times. I expressed how much I missed our time together, how I felt we were growing apart. Pamela would always apologize, promise to make more time for us, but nothing ever changed. It was like my words went in one ear and out the other. Last month marked our 5th wedding anniversary. I decided to plan a surprise weekend getaway, hoping to rekindle our relationship. I booked a cozy cabin in the mountains, remembering how much we used to love our hiking trips. I even reached out to her assistant to ensure Pamela would have the weekend free. When I told Pamela about the trip, she seemed hesitant but eventually agreed to go. I was hopeful that this would be the turning point for us. However, on the day we were supposed to leave, she called to say she couldn't make it because of an urgent work matter. I was devastated. It felt like the final straw. Frustrated and hurt, I decided to go on the trip alone. I needed time to clear my head and think about our relationship. The cabin, which I had imagined would be filled with laughter and reconnection, felt empty and cold. I spent most of the weekend hiking alone, trying to make sense of what had happened to us. While I was at the cabin, I received a call from my best friend, Mike, 33M. Mike and I had been friends since high school, and he was one of the few people who knew about the struggles in my marriage. He sounded nervous on the phone and asked if we could meet when I got back. I agreed, not thinking much of it at the time. When I returned home, I met up with Mike at our favorite local coffee shop, the same one where Pamela and I had first met all those years ago. The familiar smell of coffee and freshly baked pastries did little to ease the tension I felt as Mike fidgeted nervously with his cup. What he told me turned my world upside down. He had seen Pamela at a restaurant the night before, having an intimate dinner with her boss, David, 45M. Mike showed me pictures he had taken discreetly, and there was no mistaking the affectionate gestures and the way they looked at each other. In one photo, David's hand was on Pamela's, their fingers intertwined. In another, they were leaning close, laughing at some shared joke. I felt like the ground had opened up beneath me. All the late nights, the business trips, the emotional distance, it all made sense now. Pamela had been having an affair with her boss. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. I thought back to all the times she had assured me it was just work, all the promises to make more time for us. It had all been lies. I confronted Pamela that evening when she came home from work. At first, she tried to deny it, claiming Mike must have misunderstood what he saw. But when I showed her the pictures, she broke down and admitted to the affair. She said it had been going on for almost a year and that she had developed feelings for David. I was devastated. The woman I had loved and trusted for nearly a decade had betrayed me in the worst possible way. I asked her to leave the house that night, unable to bear the sight of her. She went to stay with her sister, leaving me alone with my thoughts and a mountain of questions. It's been 2 weeks since then, and I'm still trying to process everything. Pamela has been calling and texting, begging for another chance. She claims she made a mistake and wants to work on our marriage. But I don't know if I can ever trust her again. I'm torn between the love I still feel for her and the betrayal that's eating me up inside. Part of me wants to try and salvage our marriage, remembering all the good times we've had and the future we had planned together. But another part feels like it's beyond repair. The trust that was the foundation of our relationship has been shattered, and I'm not sure if it can ever be rebuilt. I keep replaying moments from our relationship in my head, wondering if there were signs I missed. Was I too absorbed in my own work to notice her drifting away? Should I have pushed harder when she started becoming distant? These questions keep me up at night, along with the painful images of her with David. I'm not sure what to do next. The life we built together over the past decade is crumbling around me, and I feel lost. Am I wrong for considering giving her another chance? Or should I cut my losses and file for divorce? I could really use some advice right now. How do I even begin to move forward from this? Update 1. It's been about a month since my last post, and a lot has happened. I want to thank everyone who took the time to respond and offer advice. Your words really helped me gain perspective on my situation. After much consideration and many sleepless nights, I decided not to give Pamela another chance. The trust was broken, and I realized that no matter how much I wanted to believe her promises, I couldn't see a future where I wouldn't be constantly questioning her actions and motives. The days following my decision were incredibly difficult. I found myself lost in memories of our relationship, our first date at that little Italian restaurant where we shared a plate of spaghetti and laughed about feeling like we were in Lady and the Tramp, the nervous excitement of our wedding day, the proud moment when we bought our first car together. These happy memories now felt tainted, overshadowed by the reality of Pamela's betrayal. I met with a lawyer to discuss filing for divorce. It was a surreal experience, sitting in a sterile office discussing the end of what I thought would be a lifelong partnership. The lawyer was kind but matter-of-fact as she explained the process and what I could expect. It all felt so cold and impersonal, reducing our years together to assets and liabilities to be divided. When I told Pamela about my decision to file for divorce, she broke down. She begged me to reconsider, promising to quit her job and do whatever it took to save our marriage. She reminded me of all our plans, the house we wanted to buy, the kids we talked about having. For a moment, I wavered. The pain in her eyes was real, and part of me wanted to believe that we could overcome this. But then I remembered the photos Mike had shown me, the months of lies and deceit. I stood firm. I told her that her actions had consequences, and this was one of them. It was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, but I knew it was necessary for my own well-being. In the weeks that followed, I learned more about the extent of her affair. It turns out it wasn't just with David. Through mutual friends and colleagues, I discovered that Pamela had been involved with at least 2 other men from her office over the past year. This information hit me hard. It wasn't just a one-time mistake or a moment of weakness, it was a pattern of betrayal. One of these revelations came from Penny, 31F, a colleague of Pamela's who I had met at a company party last year. She reached out to me, feeling guilty for keeping Pamela's secret. Penny told me about catching Pamela in compromising situations with different men at office events and after work drinks. It was painful to hear, but it also solidified my decision to end our marriage. The divorce process has been difficult, but I'm getting through it day by day. I've moved out of our shared apartment and found a small place of my own. It's a modest 1-bedroom in a different part of town, but it's mine. The first few nights were the hardest. The silence was deafening, and the empty space next to me in bed felt like a physical representation of the void Pamela had left in my life. But slowly, I'm adjusting to this new reality. I've been redecorating the apartment, making it feel like my own space. I bought a comfortable armchair that I've always wanted but Pamela never liked. I hung up some artwork that reflects my tastes. These small acts of personalization have been surprisingly therapeutic. One unexpected outcome of this whole situation has been the rekindling of old friendships. My college buddy, Chris, 32M, reached out after hearing about what happened. Chris and I had been inseparable in college, but we drifted apart over the years as life got busy. When he called me out of the blue, it was like no time had passed at all. We met up for a beer, and I found myself pouring out everything that had happened. Chris listened without judgment, offering support and the occasional terrible joke to lighten the mood. Since then, we've been hanging out regularly. We've started a weekly basketball game with some other friends, which has been a great way to blow off steam and get out of my head for a while. Work has been a welcome distraction. I've thrown myself into my projects, channeling my emotions into creativity and problem solving. My boss, Karen, 40F, has noticed. She pulled me aside last week to commend my recent performance and hinted at a possible promotion in the near future. It's nice to have something positive to focus on amidst all the chaos. As for Pamela, I've limited our communication to divorce-related matters only. She's still trying to change my mind, sending long emails about how sorry she is and how much she wants to make things right. At first, I read every word, my heart aching with each plea. But as time has passed, I've realized that engaging with these messages only prolongs my pain. Now, I forward them directly to my lawyer without reading them. I won't lie, there are moments when I miss her and the life we had. Sometimes, I'll catch myself reaching for my phone to share a funny moment or an interesting thought with her, only to remember that I can't do that anymore. The muscle memory of our relationship is still there, and it's taking time to unlearn. But then I remind myself of the betrayal and the lies, and I know I'm making the right choice for my future. I deserve someone who will be faithful and honest, someone who values our relationship as much as I do. Thank you again for all your support. Your words of encouragement and shared experiences have been a lifeline during this difficult time. I'll keep you updated as things progress. Update 2. It's been 3 months since my last update, and I wanted to share some new developments. The divorce is now finalized. It was a long and emotionally draining process, but it's finally over. Pamela fought it until the end, trying to delay proceedings and attempting to negotiate terms that were frankly ridiculous. Her behavior during this time only reinforced my decision to end our marriage. One particularly difficult moment came when we were dividing our assets. Pamela tried to claim ownership of a family heirloom, a vintage watch that had belonged to my grandfather. This watch held immense sentimental value for me. My grandfather had given it to me on his deathbed, telling me stories about how it had been with him through the war and throughout his 50-year marriage to my grandmother. Pamela knew how much it meant to me, but she still tried to take it out of spite. I was furious. It felt like a final betrayal, an attempt to hurt me one last time. Thankfully, my lawyer was able to shut that down quickly. But the incident left a bitter taste in my mouth and erased any lingering doubts I might have had about ending our marriage. On a more positive note, I've been focusing on personal growth. I've started taking guitar lessons, something I've always wanted to do but never found the time for when I was married. My instructor, Ray, 55M, is a patient teacher with a dry sense of humor that makes even the most frustrating lessons enjoyable. It's been challenging, my fingers are constantly sore, and I'm pretty sure my neighbors hate me, but incredibly rewarding. There's something satisfying about creating music, even if it's just a simple chord progression. I've also joined a local hiking group. Every Saturday morning, we meet up and explore different trails in the area. It's been great for my mental and physical health. There's something therapeutic about being out in nature, away from the noise and stress of everyday life. Plus, I've met some great people through the group. We often grab breakfast together after our hikes, swapping stories and sharing laughs. Work continues to be a bright spot. That promotion my boss hinted at? It came through last month. I'm now heading up a new project that's both exciting and challenging. We're developing a marketing campaign for an eco-friendly startup, which aligns perfectly with my personal interests. The increased responsibilities have been a welcome distraction from my personal life. My friendship with Chris has continued to grow stronger. He's been an incredible support throughout this whole ordeal. Last weekend, he invited me over for a barbecue at his place. It was there that he introduced me to his sister, Lena, 29F. Lena and I hit it off immediately. She works as a music journalist, and we bonded over our shared love of obscure indie bands. We ended up talking for hours, swapping stories about the best concerts we'd been to and debating the merits of vinyl versus digital. It was refreshing to have a conversation that had nothing to do with my divorce or work. After the barbecue, Lena and I exchanged numbers. We've been texting back and forth, and we're planning to meet up for coffee next week. It's too soon to say where it might lead, but for the first time in months, I'm feeling optimistic about the possibility of a new relationship. As for Pamela, I've heard through the grapevine that she's no longer with David. Apparently, he broke things off shortly after our divorce was finalized. A mutual friend told me that David had been married the entire time, and his wife had found out about the affair. I can't say I feel sorry for Pamela. She made her choices, and now she has to live with the consequences. I'm still healing, but I can honestly say I'm in a much better place now than I was 6 months ago. The pain of betrayal is still there, but it's no longer all-consuming. Some days are harder than others. There are still moments when a song on the radio or a familiar scent brings back memories of happier times with Pamela. But these moments are becoming less frequent and less intense. I'm looking forward to the future and the possibilities it holds. I'm excited about my new project at work, I'm enjoying my newfound hobbies, and I'm cautiously optimistic about where things might go with Lena. Thank you all for your continued support. Your kind words and advice have been invaluable throughout this journey. I'll keep you updated on any new developments. Update 3, it's been 6 months since my last update, and I wanted to share the latest developments in my life. I'm happy to report that things have been going really well. The promotion at work has been challenging but incredibly rewarding. I've been able to implement some innovative ideas that have been well received by both my team and our clients. The eco-friendly startup campaign I mentioned in my last update has been a huge success. We've seen a significant increase in engagement and brand awareness for the client. It's given me a renewed sense of purpose and confidence in my professional life. On a personal level, I've continued to invest time in my hobbies and personal growth. The guitar lessons are paying off. I can now play a few songs without making too many mistakes. I even performed at an open mic night at a local coffee shop last month. It was terrifying, but exhilarating. I messed up a few chords, but the small audience was supportive, and the experience was incredibly empowering. The hiking group has become a regular part of my routine. We've tackled some challenging trails over the past few months, including a tough 2-day hike in the mountains. It was during this trip that I realized how far I've come in my healing process. Surrounded by new friends, breathtaking views, and the serenity of nature, I felt a sense of peace I hadn't experienced in a long time. Remember Lena, Chris's sister? Well, things have progressed between us. We've been dating for about 4 months now, and it's been wonderful. She's kind, funny, and incredibly supportive. We share a lot of common interests, but she also challenges me to try new things. Last month, she convinced me to attend a local art exhibition. I've never been much of an art person, but seeing it through her eyes gave me a new appreciation for it. We're taking things slow, both aware of my recent divorce and not wanting to rush into anything. But I'm excited about where this relationship might go. It's refreshing to be with someone who communicates openly and values honesty as much as I do. As for Pamela, I haven't had any direct contact with her in months. However, I did run into her sister, Amy, 28F, at a local grocery store last week. It was a bit awkward at first, but we ended up having a civil conversation. Amy apologized for her sister's behavior and mentioned that Pamela has been struggling since the divorce. Apparently, she's lost her job, turns out sleeping with your boss and multiple coworkers isn't great for job security, and has been having trouble finding new employment. While I don't wish ill on Pamela, I can't say I feel particularly sympathetic either. Her actions had consequences, and now she's facing them. It's a stark reminder of how different our lives have become. The encounter with Amy did stir up some emotions, but I was surprised to find that the pain and anger I once felt have largely faded. Instead, I felt a sense of closure. Our conversation was brief, and when we parted ways, I realized that chapter of my life is truly over. Looking back on the past year, it's hard to believe how much has changed. The pain of Pamela's betrayal has faded, replaced by a sense of gratitude for the life I'm building now. I'm surrounded by supportive friends, I'm excelling in my career, and I'm in a healthy, happy relationship. I've learned a lot about myself through this process. I've discovered strengths I didn't know I had and developed new passions. I've also learned the importance of self-respect and the value of surrounding myself with people who truly care about me. To anyone out there going through a similar situation, I want to say, it gets better. It may not feel like it in the moment, but with time and effort, you can come out the other side stronger and happier. Don't be afraid to lean on your support system, try new things, and prioritize your own well-being. Thank you all for being part of this journey with me. Your support and advice have been invaluable, and I'm grateful for this community. While I hope I won't need to post any more updates about this situation, know that I appreciate each and every one of you who took the time to read my story and offer your thoughts.